The day it happened, nobody in the bustling city of San Ventura expected that a man the world worshipped would be humbled by the very people he thought were beneath him. It started like all disasters do, silently. Not with explosions, not with shouting, but with a single decision made in arrogance, and a single moment that pulled the mask off the richest man in the country. On that bright Monday morning, Alexander Grant, billionaire CEO, media darling, and tech mogul, stepped into his headquarters wearing a $200,000 suit and the ego of a man who believed life bent for him. He had no idea the universe was waiting with a lesson he couldn't buy his way out of. Alexander Grant had built an empire from nothing, or at least that's the story he sold the world. In truth, he inherited everything: money, connections, even the company he bragged about building. He didn't innovate, he dominated. He didn't inspire, he intimidated. He didn't listen, he ordered. And though the world admired him, behind closed doors his employees feared him, his executives avoided him, and his board barely tolerated him. His motto was simple: power is respect. But he'd soon learn the truth. You can have power and still be empty. On this particular morning, Alexander was furious. Sales had dipped, employees were protesting long hours, investors demanded answers. So, in a fit of ego and frustration, he announced, "Tomorrow I'm going undercover as a poor man to prove my workers are lazy and entitled." The room froze. Executives exchanged fearful glances. No one dared challenge him, except one man, David Okoye, a 38-year-old Nigerian-American operations manager, calm, brilliant, and respected by everyone except Alexander himself. "Sir," David said carefully, "maybe a better approach is to improve working conditions." Alexander cut him off. "I don't pay you to think. I pay you to agree." But David, quietly brave as always, whispered, "Respect is earned, sir, not bought." Alexander laughed. "We'll see about that." The next morning, Alexander wore old jeans, a torn shirt, and cheap sneakers. He slicked dirt on his face, practiced a slouch, and walked into his own company, pretending to be a desperate job seeker. No cameras, no entourage. Just the richest man in the state. Disguised as a nobody. But what he saw shook him. Employees were overworked, exhausted, and stressed. Half the company was running on fear. And the managers he trusted were treating their teams worse than he ever imagined. He watched a supervisor mock a janitor for not speaking a perfect English. He saw a receptionist cry quietly after being scolded for taking her lunch break. He witnessed security guards humiliate a delivery driver for being too slow. Every injustice stabbed him deeper. Then came the moment that broke him. Near the loading dock, Alexander overheard two employees talking. "Man, if only the CEO knew," one said. "This place is killing us." The other laughed bitterly. "He doesn't care. People like him never do." Alexander stepped forward. What's wrong with the CEO?" he asked. They didn't recognize him. The first man said, "He's rich, sure, but he doesn't respect us. He doesn't see us as humans. He sees us as tools." The second added, "People don't remember money. They remember compassion." Alexander's heart sank. In that moment, he realized the truth. He built a company filled with fear. Not respect, not loyalty, not purpose, just fear. The empire he was so proud of had become everything he swore he'd never be. Later that afternoon, he returned to the top floor, this time in his normal suit. The executive stood nervously as he entered. David Okoye was there too. Alexander stood before them, silent, shaken, humbled. Then he said the words no one expected. "I was wrong." Gasps filled the room. "I went undercover today," he continued, "and what I saw broke me. I didn't build a company, I built a cage." He turned to David. "And you were right. Respect is earned." David nodded slowly. Alexander stepped back and said, "From today things change, not for profit, Not for investors, but for people. For the first time in years, he meant it. That evening, Alexander held a global press conference. Beside him stood David, calm, wise, unshaken. Alexander took a deep breath. I once believed wealth made me powerful. But today, disguised as a poor man, I realized humility makes you human, journalists whispered. Cameras flashed. He continued. Power means nothing without compassion. Success means nothing without integrity. And leadership means nothing without respect. The world watched as the billionaire admitted his flaws publicly. Not as a CEO, not as a mogul, but as a man. Alexander Grant changed after that day. He raised salaries, improved working conditions, fired abusive managers, promoted people who had been overlooked. And he never forgot the lesson that saved him. A crown means nothing if the people beneath you are crushed. He learned that. Wealth can buy comfort, not character. Status can demand obedience, not respect. Power can silence voices, not truth. But humility builds bridges. Humility saves hearts. Humility turns empires human. True greatness isn't measured by how high you rise, but by how gently you lift others as you climb. And sometimes, the richest man in the world must fall to the bottom to finally see what really matters at the top.